Let us pray together.
Father, as this quiet moment settles around me and the noise of the day begins to fade, I come before you carrying the weight of thoughts I cannot always control. The tension that tightens my chest, the silent arguments replaying in my mind long after the sun has gone down, and I confess how easily anxiety turns into irritation, how quickly fear disguises itself as anger, how swiftly my heart ignites when I feel misunderstood or overwhelmed. You have told me to be angry, and yet not to sin, to never let the sun set on wrath, and still I find embers glowing in the dark corners of my soul, threatening to burn through my peace and give space to shadows that do not belong to you. Tonight I lay those embers at your feet and ask you to breathe over them with your cooling mercy, to guard my heart from the quiet invasion of negative thoughts that whisper lies about my worth and my future, to close every door that anxiety tries to pry open in my spirit. Teach me the sacred pause between feeling and reacting, the holy stillness where your spirit speaks louder than my impulses, where patience grows roots deeper than my fears. And if there is anyone listening to these words who feels their pulse racing with worry or their mind spinning with anger, let them softly whisper, Lord, calm my heart right now, and meet them in that very breath. I do not want to give the enemy even a small foothold in my thoughts, so shine your light into every hidden place within me. Untangle the knots of resentment before they harden, and cradle my restless mind in the assurance that you are near, closer than my next breath, stronger than my loudest fear, gentler than my most fragile emotion, and perfectly capable of holding everything that overwhelms me. Lord, you see how quickly my spirit can rise like a sudden storm, how a single word or memory can spark a flame within me, and how that flame, if left unattended, grows into anxiety that consumes my peace and clouds my judgment. Your wisdom tells me that a quick-tempered heart acts foolishly, and I have felt the regret of hasty reactions, the heaviness that follows sharp words spoken too soon, the ache of wishing I had paused just one breath longer. Teach me to become slow in my responses and rich in understanding, to feel without being ruled by feeling, to acknowledge anger without allowing it to steer my soul away from righteousness. When fear disguises itself as frustration, help me recognize it and bring it into your light instead of letting it fester in the dark. I surrender the tight grip I keep on my need to be right, on my desire to defend myself at every cost, and I ask you to replace it with a gentle confidence that rests in your justice. If someone listening right now feels overwhelmed by irritation or haunted by regret over something said in haste, let them quietly murmur, Jesus, make me patient, and let that simple plea become the beginning of a softened heart. Reshape my inner world, Lord, so that even when emotions surge, they do not rule me, but instead bow before your peace, which steadies my breathing, calms my racing thoughts, and reminds me that strength is often found in restraint, that wisdom often whispers instead of shouts, and that your spirit within me is greater than any storm rising around me. Gracious God, you know how often my ears are quick to hear offense but slow to perceive grace, how my tongue longs to defend itself before my heart has truly listened, and how in those hurried moments anxiety tightens its grip and turns simple misunderstandings into heavy burdens. Your word calls me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, and I realize how much of my unrest is born from reacting before I have fully understood, from answering before compassion has had time to bloom. Teach me to pause long enough to feel your spirit steady my breathing, to let silence become a sanctuary instead of a threat, to allow wisdom to rise gently rather than forcing my voice to be heard. When my thoughts begin racing with assumptions and negative conclusions, interrupt them with truth. Remind me that not every feeling deserves a reaction, and not every thought deserves my agreement. Shape my responses so they reflect your patience rather than my insecurity, your mercy rather than my fear. And if someone listening feels their words often outrun their peace, let them softly breathe. Holy Spirit, slow me down, and feel your calming hand rest upon their restless heart. Refine the fire within me so that it warms instead of burns, so that passion is purified by love and conviction is anchored in humility. Because I long for a righteousness that flows from your heart, not from my impulsive emotions, and I desire a mind that is guarded, steady, and free from the chaos that unchecked anger so easily creates. Lord of gentle wisdom, you see how swiftly my spirit can be provoked, how easily irritation slips into my heart and settles there if I am not watchful. And you remind me that anger resting unchecked becomes a silent tenant in the soul, shaping thoughts, distorting perceptions, whispering harsh judgments long after the moment has passed. I do not want to be ruled by reactions that cloud discernment or by emotions that harden my heart. So I bring you the hidden frustrations I rarely confess, the quiet disappointments that accumulate like dust in forgotten corners, the subtle fears that disguise themselves as defensiveness. Cleanse my inner atmosphere, Father, so that no lingering resentment finds comfort within me, so that no anxious narrative takes root and grows into bitterness. Teach me the strength of a composed spirit, the dignity of self-control, the beauty of patience that waits before responding. When I feel the first spark of agitation, let it become a signal to seek you rather than to speak too quickly, a reminder to breathe in your peace before releasing any word. And if someone listening senses anger rising within their chest even now, let them whisper, "God, steady my spirit," and feel your quiet power replacing turbulence with calm. Cultivate in me a heart that reflects wisdom instead of impulse, that chooses understanding over assumption, that trusts you enough to surrender every stirring emotion. Because I know that true freedom is not the absence of feeling, but the presence of your peace, reigning gently and firmly within me. Parte superior do formulário, parte inferior do formulário. Father, when the day begins to close and the light softens on the horizon, I often realize how much I have carried in silence, how many small irritations I allowed to linger, how many anxious thoughts I entertained without inviting you into them. And I hear your tender warning not to let the sun go down on my wrath, not because you condemn me, but because you love me too much to let bitterness take root in the night. You know how darkness amplifies fear, how unresolved emotions grow louder when everything else grows quiet, and how the enemy tries to slip into the spaces where forgiveness was delayed and peace was postponed. So before this day fully fades, I open my hands and release every offense, every sharp memory, every internal argument I have rehearsed, and I ask you to sweep my heart clean before I rest. I refuse to give anxiety a pillow to sleep on in my mind. I refuse to let anger whisper to me in the dark. I choose instead to trust that you are my defender and my refuge. If someone listening feels the heaviness of unresolved tension as night approaches, let them gently say, "Lord, I forgive and I release." And may that surrender loosen chains they did not even realize were tightening. Settle over us like a warm blanket of mercy. Quiet every accusing voice within. Soften every hardened place. And guard our dreams with your presence, so that when we close our eyes, we do so not with clenched jaws or restless thoughts, but with hearts unburdened, reconciled, and wrapped safely in your unshakable peace. Lord, there are battles that never make a sound. Wars fought quietly behind composed faces, where anxious thoughts march relentlessly, and negative whispers attempt to claim territory in the mind. And I confess how sometimes I have unknowingly given them space, entertained their lies, allowed their presence to feel familiar. Yet you caution me not to give the enemy a foothold, not even a small corner of my heart where fear can settle and grow roots. And so I come to you asking for vigilance, for spiritual awareness, for the courage to notice when my thinking drifts away from truth. Remind me that not every thought is from you, that some are intruders seeking agreement, and teach me to gently but firmly reject the ones that contradict your promises. When anxiety tells me I am alone, speak louder with the assurance of your nearness. When anger tries to convince me that I must fight every battle, remind me that you are my defender. I surrender the habit of rehearsing worst-case scenarios, the impulse to assume the worst in others, the temptation to protect myself with coldness instead of compassion. And if someone listening feels overwhelmed by intrusive thoughts or simmering frustration, let them quietly whisper, "Jesus, guard my mind," and let that simple prayer become a shield around their heart. Fortify my inner world with your truth, Anchor my emotions in your faithfulness, and train me to respond to every rising fear, not with panic or irritation, but with trust, knowing that your spirit within me is stronger than any storm that tries to take residence in my soul. Faithful God, when anxiety wraps around my thoughts like a tightening vine and irritation simmers just beneath the surface, I often forget how deeply you care about the condition of my inner life, how attentively you watch over the movements of my heart, how gently you invite me to choose patience instead of impulse. You see the moments when my breathing shortens and my jaw tightens, when I feel misunderstood or overlooked, and instead of shaming me, you whisper wisdom, reminding me that human anger does not produce the righteousness you desire, that hurried reactions rarely reflect your love. I long to reflect you not only in my words, but in the quiet spaces of my thinking, in the unseen conversations I have within myself, in the way I interpret the actions of others. Teach me to assume grace before judgment, to pause before responding, to allow understanding to bloom where suspicion once grew. When I feel the surge of defensiveness rising, steady me with the awareness that I am already secure in you, that I do not need to win every argument to be valued, that I do not need to control every outcome to be safe. And if someone listening feels caught between overwhelming fear and simmering frustration, let them softly say, "Father, hold my heart," and experience the comfort of being known without being condemned. Reshape my reflexes, Lord, so that peace becomes my instinct, patience my posture, and trust my first response. Because I desire a spirit that is not easily shaken, a mind that rests confidently in your steady and unfailing love. Merciful Father, there are memories that still sting, conversations that echo long after they ended, and in those echoes, anxiety often finds its rhythm, replaying what was said, imagining what should have been said, stirring up anger that feels justified, yet leaves me unsettled. You gently remind me not to be quick in my spirit to become angry, because anger lingering in the heart slowly reshapes it. And I do not want my heart to be reshaped by bitterness when it was created to be formed by love. Search me in the quiet places where frustration hides behind politeness, where fear disguises itself as control, where pride pretends to be strength, and tenderly reveal what needs to be surrendered. Teach me that true wisdom is calm, that strength can be soft, that self-control is not weakness, but maturity. When I feel provoked, let your spirit rise within me before my voice does. Let your peace interrupt the cycle of reaction that has repeated itself too many times. And if someone listening feels haunted by unresolved hurt or simmering resentment, let them whisper, "Lord, heal this place in me," and trust that you are already at work beneath the surface. I lay down the need to rehearse every offense. I release the habit of building silent cases against others. And I ask you to cultivate in me a prudent heart that moves slowly, thoughtfully, lovingly. Because I long for a life not driven by volatile emotion, but guided steadily by your quiet and unwavering wisdom. Lord, in the hidden chambers of my thoughts where no one else can see, anxiety sometimes builds fragile towers of assumption, stacking fear upon fear until everything feels unstable. And when those towers tremble, anger often rises as a shield, as though irritation could somehow protect me from vulnerability. Yet, you call me into a different rhythm, one where I am not ruled by the first surge of emotion but anchored in a deeper awareness of your presence. Teach me to recognize the early tremors within my heart, the subtle shifts that signal unrest, and instead of reacting outwardly, draw me inward toward you, where calm is cultivated and perspective is restored. Remind me that I do not have to solve every tension immediately, that silence can be sacred, that waiting can be wise. When negative thoughts try to predict failure or rejection, counter them with your steady truth, whispering that I am held, that I am guided, that I am not navigating this life alone. And if someone listening feels overwhelmed by inner turbulence, let them gently breathe. Prince of Peace, quiet my mind and sense your stillness spreading through them like morning light. Dismantle every mental stronghold built on fear, soften every defensive instinct shaped by past wounds, and shape within me a spirit that responds with grace rather than reflex, with patience rather than panic, because I desire a heart that remains tender even under pressure, and a mind that rests securely in your faithful care. Father of compassion, when my expectations collide with reality and disappointment tries to settle heavily upon my chest, I feel how quickly frustration can spark, how easily anxiety begins to narrate a story of unfairness or neglect. Yet you gently draw me back to wisdom, reminding me that patience is not passive, but powerful. That restraint is not silence born of fear, but strength born of trust. I confess how often I have allowed my mood to be shaped by circumstances beyond my control, how I have let fleeting emotions dictate lasting attitudes, and how negative thoughts have sometimes felt more convincing than your promises. Pull me out of that current, Lord, and anchor me in something deeper than my immediate reaction. When I am tempted to speak sharply or withdraw coldly, place a softness in my voice and a steadiness in my gaze. Help me to listen not only to words but to the heart behind them, to respond not only to behavior but to the humanity within it. And if someone listening feels misunderstood, irritated, or emotionally exhausted, let them whisper, "God, teach me your patience," and feel your grace filling the spaces where tension once lived. Transform my inner dialogue so it reflects hope instead of suspicion, faith instead of fear, gentleness instead of judgment, because I long for my life to be marked not by volatility, but by the quiet beauty of a spirit that trusts you, even when emotions run high and answers are not immediate. Holy God, in the rush of daily pressures and unseen expectations, I sometimes carry stress like a hidden weight, and when that weight grows heavy, it spills over as irritability, as sharpness, as silent resentment that I do not always recognize until it has already colored my thoughts. You see how anxiety disguises itself as urgency, convincing me that everything must be handled now, that every wrong must be corrected immediately, that every discomfort must be confronted. Yet your Spirit invites me into a slower, steadier pace, where wisdom guides instead of impulse. Teach me to discern the difference between righteous concern and restless control, between healthy emotion and harmful reaction. When my heart begins to race and my mind fills with worst-case scenarios, draw me into the sanctuary of your presence where perspective is restored and fear loses its authority. Remind me that not every battle requires my voice, that not every tension demands my defense, that sometimes the most powerful response is quiet trust. And if someone listening feels the pressure building within them, let them softly say, "Lord, carry this for me," and feel the relief of releasing what was never meant to be borne alone. Settle my spirit into a posture of humility and calm, where anger does not take root and anxiety does not reign, where I become quick to listen and slow to react, and where your peace stands guard over my heart like a gentle yet unshakable shield. Lord of steady mercy, when my thoughts begin to spiral and I sense irritation forming before I even understand why, I ask you to meet me in that fragile beginning, in that small moment where a feeling is still forming and a reaction has not yet been chosen. So often anxiety convinces me that I must defend myself immediately, that silence equals weakness, that restraint means surrendering control, yet you show me a different strength, a composed spirit that does not rush to prove or protect, but rests confidently in your justice. Help me to recognize how fear fuels so much of my anger, how insecurity disguises itself as intensity, and how negative thoughts exaggerate threats that are not truly there. Slow down my inner dialogue, untangle the assumptions that feed frustration, and replace them with truth that is calm and clear. When I am tempted to replay a hurtful moment over and over, interrupt the cycle with your gentle reminder that fretting leads only to harm, that dwelling on offense steals joy from the present. And if someone listening feels trapped in repetitive thoughts or simmering anger, let them whisper, "Jesus, free my mind," and sense the beginning of release. Cultivate within me a patient heart that does not ignite at every spark, a discerning spirit that weighs words before speaking, and a humble posture that trusts you to handle what I cannot, so that my life becomes a reflection of your peace rather than a mirror of my unrest. Father, sometimes the hardest battles are not with other people, but within my own thoughts, where anger debates with grace and anxiety argues against trust. and I feel pulled in opposite directions by emotions that demand immediate expression. In those moments, remind me that wisdom is found in restraint, that maturity is revealed in patience, that strength is often quiet. You have shown me that being slow to anger is not about suppressing feelings, but about surrendering them to you before they spill over into words that wound or actions that regret. Examine the roots beneath my reactions, uncover the fears that hide beneath frustration, and heal the insecurities that masquerade as defensiveness. When my heart feels provoked, teach me to listen deeply rather than react quickly, to seek understanding rather than victory, to choose compassion over being right. And if someone listening feels torn between intense emotion and the desire for peace, let them softly pray, "Lord, lead my response," and feel your guiding presence steady their spirit. Dismantle the habit of assuming the worst, dissolve the tension that builds when I overthink every detail, and plant within me a prudence that waits, considers, and trusts. Shape my inner life so that even when I feel anger rising, it does not control me, but instead becomes an opportunity to draw nearer to you, to lean into your wisdom, and to allow your spirit to transform what could have been destructive into something gentle, measured, and life-giving. Gracious Lord, there are days when exhaustion lowers my defenses and even small inconveniences feel overwhelming, when anxiety hums beneath the surface and irritation seems closer than patience, and I realize how much I need your steadying presence to guard my heart. You understand how fatigue magnifies fear, how stress shortens my temper, how unresolved worries quietly accumulate until they spill out in sharp tones or heavy silence. Draw me back to the simplicity of trusting you moment by moment, breath by breath, especially when I feel depleted. Remind me that I am not required to carry every burden alone, that I do not have to respond to every provocation, that I can step away and find refuge in you before I say a single word. When negative thoughts insist that everything is falling apart, anchor me in the truth that you are still holding all things together. And if someone listening feels worn down, irritable, and anxious all at once, let them whisper, "Father, renew my strength," and sense your comfort meeting them right where they are. Teach me to recognize when I need rest instead of reaction, when I need prayer instead of protest, when I need stillness instead of striving. Cultivate in me a gentle awareness of my own limits so that anger does not become my language and anxiety does not define my outlook, but instead, your peace becomes the atmosphere I carry, even in the midst of demanding days and uncertain circumstances. Parte superior do formulário. Parte inferior do formulário. Loving Father, when I look honestly at my heart, I see how often anxiety begins with a single fearful thought left unchecked, how that thought grows into tension, and how tension, if nurtured, transforms into anger that feels protective, but ultimately isolates me from the peace you offer. You call me to refrain from wrath, not because you dismiss my pain, but because you desire freedom for me. Freedom from the exhausting cycle of fear, feeding frustration, and frustration, feeding regret. Teach me to catch those first anxious whispers before they take root, to bring them into your light instead of letting them multiply in secrecy. When I feel the urge to react instantly, to defend, to correct, to confront, remind me that a prudent heart waits, listens, and seeks understanding before speaking. Shape my responses so they reflect trust in your sovereignty rather than panic about losing control. And if someone listening feels trapped in a pattern of quick reactions and lingering guilt, let them gently say, "Lord, break this cycle," and believe that change is possible through your grace. Calm the storm inside me before I attempt to calm anything around me. Quiet the narratives that exaggerate threat and diminish hope. And establish within me a steady confidence that you are working even when I cannot see it. May my life become marked by measured words, thoughtful pauses, and a spirit that resists the pull of negativity, choosing instead the quiet strength of patience rooted deeply in you. Father of light, as I continue in this quiet conversation with you, I become aware of how deeply you care about the atmosphere of my heart, how you desire it to be a dwelling place of peace rather than a battlefield of unchecked emotion. And I confess that sometimes I have allowed anger to linger because it felt justified, allowed anxiety to remain because it felt protective, yet neither has ever truly given me rest. You remind me that when I hold on to wrath, I slowly surrender joy. When I rehearse offense, I magnify pain. And when I let fear narrate my thoughts, I shrink the space where faith could grow. Draw me into a deeper trust that releases the need to manage every outcome and correct every perceived wrong. When I feel misunderstood, secure me in the knowledge that you fully understand me. When I feel wronged, anchor me in the truth that you are just. When I feel overwhelmed, steady me with the reminder that you are near. And if someone listening right now feels the weight of resentment pressing heavily upon their spirit, let them whisper, "God, restore my peace," and feel your presence beginning to untangle what has been tightly wound. Teach me to end each day with a softened heart, unwilling to give darkness a foothold, unwilling to carry anger into tomorrow, choosing instead to lay it down before you. Form within me a gentle resilience, a calm wisdom, a patience that does not rush, so that my inner world reflects the quiet strength of a soul anchored safely in your unfailing love. Lord, as this prayer continues to unfold in your presence, I sense how deeply you long to replace every restless impulse with steady assurance, every anxious surge with settled trust, and every flicker of anger with patient understanding. You see the hidden narratives that try to convince me I must react quickly to protect myself, that I must hold on to offense to preserve my dignity. Yet you gently reveal that true security is found not in sharp responses, but in surrendered hearts. Teach me to recognize that human anger cannot produce the righteousness you desire, that fear-driven reactions never lead to lasting peace, and that restraint shaped by love is far more powerful than intensity fueled by anxiety. When my thoughts begin to accelerate and my emotions rise, draw me back to the quiet center of your presence where clarity returns and tension dissolves. Let my listening become deeper than my need to speak, my compassion stronger than my impulse to correct, my humility louder than my pride. And if someone listening feels overwhelmed by inner conflict, let them softly pray, "Jesus, shape my heart like yours, and trust that transformation is already beginning. Smooth the rough edges of my temperament, heal the places where past wounds still influence present reactions, and establish within me a spirit that moves slowly, wisely, lovingly, because I desire my life to reflect not the volatility of my feelings, but the steady, radiant peace that flows from walking closely with you. Faithful and tender Father, as I rest in the stillness of this moment with you, I feel how much I need your Spirit to guard the gates of my heart, to stand watch over my thoughts before anxiety slips in and before anger finds a resting place, because I know how subtly these emotions begin, how quietly they grow, and how powerfully they can shape my days if left unchecked. You have invited me to be slow to anger, to release wrath before it hardens, to refuse to fret because it only leads me away from the peace you so generously offer. And so I come now with open hands, surrendering the fears that have kept me tense, the offenses I have replayed too many times, the inner arguments that have stolen sleep and joy. Wash over my mind with your calming truth. Remind me that I am secure in you, that I do not need to react to every provocation, that I can trust you with what feels unfair or unresolved. And if someone listening feels the weight of anxiety loosening even now, let them whisper, "Father, I trust you." And let that trust sink deeply into their spirit. Teach me to end not only this prayer, but every day with a heart cleared of resentment, a mind freed from destructive thoughts, and a soul anchored firmly in your love. May your peace settle gently over me like evening light. May your wisdom guide my responses tomorrow, and may your blessing rest softly upon every listening heart, guarding us from anxiety, shielding us from anger, and filling us with a calm, steady assurance that we are held, we are guided, and we are deeply loved in you. If this prayer spoke to your heart, stay with us. Like this video so that more weary people can find rest. Subscribe to the channel to receive new prayers every day, and write in the comments the name or situation for which you would like prayer. We will be reading, praying, and walking with you. May you never feel alone. God is with you, and so are we.